Anyway, so we're catching up with Dara Scott this year finally. Last year we missed you. So glad that you were able to make the trip. And you have some new products with Hive Alive, and it's no secret. Pretty much everyone I know promotes and recommends Hive Alive, particularly getting into winter and also starting new colonies is how I use the syrup mostly. What is your fastest moving or most commonly sold product right now?
Sure. Okay, so the quickest moving product is the Fondant, the box of 15 Fondant, 2.2 pounds. They just fly out the door. What's gained a huge amount of traction in the last year or so has been the concentrate that gets added to the sugar syrup. And particularly in the last 6 months, I think since we released the stuff on the winter losses, how we had so much fewer winter losses using Hive Alive, I think people realize the value now putting in syrup in the fall.
Wasn't it like a 60% survival?
So the Project Apis M ran a study with about, I think it was over 600 beekeepers, and they were seeing between 55 and 60% losses. We were seeing like low 20s, like 23% losses with the 300 beekeepers that we questionnaire. So like that's a big group of people, and that's a really big loss.
Now, how were they able to tie that to Hive Alive as a benefit?
Well, it was the people who used Hive Alive. We literally emailed our customers and said,
and get their loss.
And we asked them, so if you used, it was the fondant and the adding it to syrup, we didn't have the syrup at the time with the Hive Alive already in it, but it's based the whole idea of having it in the syrup and or the fondant. And I still say, like the best way using Hive Alive is putting it in the syrup and then putting in the syrup for fall. The fondant's brilliant, stops your bees from starving, it's the Hive Alive in it, the amino acids and the vitamins in it, that's brilliant too. Really good for the bees, but the best long-term protection for your colonies is going to be adding the Hive Alive to your syrup.
Okay, there's another thing I want to touch on, which is really important to a lot of beekeepers. When they mix up their sugar syrup, it has a shelf life. And I used to use other essential oils to help extend that. We still got black mold. But with Hive Alive syrup added to the sugar syrup, we get a really long shelf life with that where it does not spoil. Can you explain why that happens?
Yeah, so I mean, the whole Hive Alive is naturally antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral to some extent, and immune stimulatory. And that's the combination of different ingredients, and of course the seaweed extracts that are in there. And it's not just seaweed, it's seaweed extracts from specific seaweed plants that we put in there that all have different modes of action. And it's the fact that, in particular, that the product is antibacterial and antifungal that's able to preserve the syrup and keep it for literally for from what I can see, years. Other than having a very thin syrup in a very warm environment exposed to a lot of oxygen, I've heard that some in the Caribbean had some issue before with it, but other than that, I've never heard anyone have the syrup go bad on them. Okay. So that's a huge benefit. And of course, that's not just for the convenience for beekeepers, that's also, and you have to clean up a mess and mold and all that, which is horrible.
Sure.
But it means that the bees, when they're taking down the food, there's no chance of getting fermented. So if you're feeding late in the year, when like getting cold, it might have dried out enough or whatever, there's no chance of anything getting fermented, they're getting bad syrup, which is a strong possibility when not doing that way.
Okay. And so you have a new offering this year where it's pre-mixed, it comes liquid form, ready to deliver. How's the interest in that?
It's really good. So it's really a convenience thing. So we've got a really high quality syrup, no GMO, no what you call them, the inverted, the corn syrup, not the corn syrup in it. It's good quality sugar syrup that has
high fructose corn syrup is what you were talking about.
High fructose corn syrup. It doesn't have that in it. Some people like it. I think it's wrong for bees personally, and all the studies that I've seen back that up. It has Hive Alive in there, of course, and it has extra vitamins and minerals in there as well. It's a convenience thing. Like, I mean, it works out cheaper to add the concentrate into your syrup. If you don't want to have to do that, or you want the convenience of having it there ready to go, and you can reuse the containers, of course, as well. There it is. It's there. We should have the bags back in April sometime, maybe May.
Oh, the bags.
The bags
totally
coming back. We've improved the bags even more again.
Yeah.
They're going to be easier to use. And we've had a load of people asking us about the bags.
Yeah, the bags, actually, I'm glad you mentioned it because I was trying to back feed a top bar hive. There's no facility for feeding in that hive. So being able to put the bags on the bottom and just put print picks on top, the bees actually access that. You're sitting right there, easy to install and remove. So I can see why they're...
I've actually seen people ask about that with Fondant, and how can they get it to have it over the brood nest. So just to slide aside, what I've always said is, the way the frames butt up against each other is just drill a small hole between the two frames. You got a semicircle on one side, semicircle on the other side, put the fawn on top, and they'll be able to go up and get it
So
that
you're
way.
talking about like lay-in hives where they
Yeah,
have
where
the
we're all,
tops
where
form
they're all
a
jammed in
solid
together.
block.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's good too.
What else do I have to tell you?
So compositionally though, that premix is the same as if somebody mixed it with white sugar and water and added the
Yeah, no, I mean
Hive
you've got very low HMF, the stuff that's bad for the bees.
Right.
It's if you're heating up syrup, you have a risk of that. Generally, it's fine, but you have a low.
Right.
This syrup is inverted, so it's easier for the bees to digest as well.
Okay.
So there's that advantage as well.
Okay.
But other than that, yeah, it's pretty much the same. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it. I want to thank you for talking, Darren. I'm so glad to catch up to you.
Pleasure
this
as
year.
always.
Always great products. Thanks a lot.